Does Congress have any oversight over these people? You've already mentioned one of them. Who holds them accountable? Whose payroll are they on? Did Congress ever vet them? Do you personally know their backgrounds? And if you don't, will you ask them questions? Do we need a green jobs czar, especially the one we've got now? Do we need a diversity special advisor? Both sides of an issue. And I hate to say it, but who's running the government? Is it Congress or is it the President and his special advisors?
All right, those are all very good questions. First of all, I believe that the Congress of the United States has over many years, not just since the beginning of this administration, but over many years, going back over many presidents, ceded far too much authority to the executive branch of our government. Taking it back to healthcare for just a moment before I come back and address the rest of your questions, that's exactly what H.R. 3200 does as well. Because while this bill is 1,000 pages long, the regulations that will have to be written by the executive branch, over which the Congress will have no control, once we pass the law, the bill, and it's signed into law, then all of these bureaucracies, new ones and existing ones, start writing new regulations that accrue more and more power to the executive branch of our government. The executive branch has millions of employees, only 2 of whom are elected by the people, the president and the vice president. So that leaves a lot of other people, a few of whom are confirmed by the United States Senate, but most of whom are simply hired through a process that the Congress long ago ceded to the executive branch, giving the president and his deputies, if you will, the authority to hire all these people. Now, I don't think there is in the law a healthcare czar or a green czar, and I think that nonetheless doesn't change the fact that it's really not a good idea for the president to say this guy is going to make all the decisions regarding energy and to give him that title of czar. Now, I don't know if the president did that or the news media or whatever, but it creates, I think, a very, very wrong impression. Secondly, I think the Congress should hold hearings on the activities and qualifications of some of these people. In particular, the Green Czar, who some people would say is actually the Red Czar. Based on some of the pronouncements that he's made regarding government policy in general and regarding who may have caused 9/11, and I mean it's just appalling. I agree with those who are very concerned that Congress should hold hearings about whether this person, no matter what his title is, should be employed making decisions on behalf of American people. So I would like to see more accountability. I support legislation that would give the Congress a veto over regulations after they're written. In other words, we pass a bill, the regulations go to the executive branch, and they ought to have to come back to the Congress to have the Congress say, yes, this is what we intended when we wrote this legislation. I don't know if I answered all your questions, but I share your concern.
Thank you, sir.
Employees and public organizations such as Rockingham County Schools, Harrisonburg City Schools, have to bid on their insurance. And it's my understanding that by law they're required to take the lowest bid, especially if it's a substantial difference between what the private sector would give and what a potential government health care would give, for example, at an 8% payback. Contrary to Mr. Joe's comments earlier, which greatly concerned me because the fact that Rockingham County is currently paying 35% of our premium as private health care, and if they are required to take that and a public health care at 8%, and they're required by law to take the lowest bids, we will lose our health care as public servants. Fire, rescue, JMU staff, school staff, and yet we're being told by the president that we won't lose our health care. So I'd like you to shed some light on that. I had a hip replacement. I had to go out of area to get that replacement. In other countries where they have government health care, my particular surgery, which changed my life, would not have been available nor paid for me. So my question is, what are we looking at as far as public employees, fire, rescue, health, school teachers, college, university, public supported college universities, versus the health care that the government will put out? Do we indeed stand a great chance of losing our private health care?
Well, I appreciate that point. I can't answer what Rockingham County what decisions they might make, but as I said at the outset, I am very concerned. Obviously, a great many people are very concerned, and there are studies out there that suggest that a great many tens of millions or hundreds of millions of Americans could lose their private health insurance because their employer would decide it's cheaper to pay the 8% payroll tax than it would be to continue to provide the private health insurance they have. Now, one thing I want to clarify, they don't have to pay both. So if they're providing you with health insurance and it meets the standards in the bill, they don't have to add on an 8% tax. That's for people who are not providing health insurance to their employees at this point in time. But I will tell you that people who provide health insurance to their employees are much more competitive in getting good employees to hire, because that's a major consideration when you're looking for a job. If your employer says, yes, we have some health insurance benefits, you probably want to know a little bit about what those are, and then you want to determine whether that's a better offer than somebody who says, well, I can pay you a little more money, but I can't provide you with any health insurance. So if you start mandating that people provide health insurance who can't afford to provide it, some of them are going to be in a world of hurt. And people with as few as 10 employees could be required to pay the full 8%. There's a sliding scale below that, so the very smallest employees don't pay that tax, and then in between that they pay an increased amount. But as few as 10 employees paying an 8% payroll tax could make a big difference on their bottom line, whether they stay in business or not. Yes, sir.
Good to see you, Mr. Goodlatte. My name is Tommy Moser. I live in Rockingham County and